Welcome back to this very special Careful Boys, where we're very careful boys. And today we're talking about what do you do to improve your bad mood?
Ooh.
Your bad mood, boy or girl.
I improve it by being even more badder moods.
Oh yeah.
I go for a walk, take a shower. I try to like change my physical state.
That's
usually
always
helps.
good.
Go, work out. That's a good one.
Working out's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Or punching something. That usually helps a little bit. Mm-hmm. But then you get mad again because you're like, oh, now my hand hurts and I'm fucking pissed.
I don't ruminate and linger anymore.
Really? You moved on from that shit?
It's hard to stay, like I would rage for like, I could stay on a fucking thought for like a whole week. And then,
Shit, that's exhausting. If you're pissed?
yeah, I go to sleep fucking mad. And then I wake up still mad. And then like I'd be able to like think of all the different ways of how I'm gonna get revenge and everything. And then now I'm just like, okay, it's a lot of work. And then I'm just like,
You're just too busy.
it hurts me.
Being too busy helps a shitload.
And then, I just go, the soft serve machine's broken. I should probably deal with that. And then I go to sleep.
You got worse things to worry about, yeah.
But back then, I wouldn't even be able to think about, this is malfunctioning. I gotta go fix this, and then I gotta fix that. Because everything that's on my mind is like, oh, this fucker wronged me. How I'm gonna get him back, or whatever was on my mind. You know, that was a difficult thing, and I don't really know what changed. I never made a conscious effort. All I know is that now I'm much better at being aware of what I'm speaking in my head.
Is it because you're busier?
I think one thing that I know that I did get better at, and this probably has something to do with it, but several years ago I realized that I would wake up in panic attacks.
Ooh, that's
Damn,
serious.
that's big.
That's tough.
And then I didn't realize that I was doing that throughout my whole life, where I would just wake up in panic and I just go back to sleep. But Hannah I recognized it there, because then she was like, oh, you just woke up and you're like scared or something. I'm like, what? So, you go back to sleep, you don't remember and whatever.
Wow.
So there'll be moments where like I wake up and my heart is racing, and then I'm just thinking, I'm not thinking, I'm half asleep. Yeah. So I get up and then I'm just like, oh shit. And then you just have a groggy day, right? And I don't know what happened or whatever. And then when I processed that, then I was more aware, half asleep. I would wake up and I'd be like, okay, I'm thinking about things I'm scared of, things in the past that hurt me, like all these weird intrusive thoughts or whatever that's just sneaking through my head, right? And that's what's scary, because I feel vulnerable. I'm like in a sleeping position, and then while I'm half asleep, I can calm myself down, and that made me much better at being aware of what kind of conversations I was having in my head throughout the day. And then before that, it was pure impulse. Everything was just whatever was happening in the moment was whatever was happening.
That's what's affecting you the most.
Yeah. And then now I don't really have like those things where I wake up and like my heart's racing.
Good job, dude.
Yeah. And if I do feel it coming, like if I wake up, like I'm thinking about it in my head and I go, oh, it's happening, just it's not real. Like relax. And then I just take a few breaths and I go right back to sleep. So then that was a huge thing. I think just being aware of what I'm thinking of was a big changer. And just everything, it applied to everything else. Yeah.
So what advice would you give somebody who's having issues pushing their intrusive thoughts out of the way, who can't just like take a few breaths and they're not at that stage yet? Like what would you tell them to do?
Practice so not everyone speaks in their own head is what I realized too. Some people they see pictures in their head, or they just don't even say words. That's what I realized. But for me, I talk in my head a lot, right? And there's different conversations, different versions of me.
And dinosaur battles.
Cool.
Stingrays, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think try to bring up the voice of like a calm, reasonable human being. You have that thought too, and let that one win. Or like You know, it's not that. What do you call it? It's whatever's happening in the moment. It's not that serious. It never is. But then it is in the moment because you're having an emotional reaction. Yeah.
So intrusive dinosaur, cool, calm, collected dinosaur.
Yeah.
They're fighting. And then the fact that you're thinking about these two metaphorical dinosaurs fighting is the fact that you can calm yourself down. Okay, cool.
There it is. Welcome to Male Mind.
Yeah, that's my mind.
That was one of my favorite lines, by the way, in the last couple months.
Yeah,
Joe,
I know.
when we were talking about
Yep.
how guys think, and sometimes girls think they're body language experts, and Joe's like, I'm just having a dinosaur battle in my head.
That's so true.
It's so true, dude.
This fucking T-Rex is biting the neck and shit. Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Just like not thinking about anything.
Yeah.
Not thinking about anything. Yeah.
Girls do that too. Like girls zone out too.
I believe it, but when we get accused,
You be thinking about
what
shit
are you
like
just
that?
what were you just thinking about, babe? And we're like, oh, you don't want to know.
Like them being insecure, right?
Yeah.
you might even have to make things up because then they bother you so much.
Yes.
Hey, what'd you say?
I go, are you mad at me?
And she's like, yes, I've been trying to find ways.
That's pretty good. That's how I calm down the situation.
Internal dialogue, if I could simplify, just that's all it
Yeah,
is.
that's
Control
really good.
the internal dialogue, and nothing's like too extreme. And you suffer like what that quote. You suffer more in imagination than you do in reality.
So true.
Yeah.
That's what I
for
do.
real.
That's what I do sometimes. I usually think of a more severe situation. Like my mom was tripping this morning. She was talking about something. Like my mom's she's trying to evict one of the tenants in her or whatever, but she's like thinks she has to do it by this imaginary deadline. And then she's like fucking tripping on the phone. I'm like, is someone gonna come and cut your hands off? And then she was like, what do you
Good
mean?
question.
I was like, okay, let's say you prolong it for 7 days. Is someone gonna fucking come and cut your hands off? She's like, no. Well, then chill the fuck out. Big deal. But that actually helped my mom out. She's like, yeah, that's right. Like, cause like, I think a lot of times,
that way.
Probably sounds way better in Chinese too.
yeah. But I think like a lot of times, like whatever you're experiencing, it does feel like life or death. And so it helps me out when I think of something more severe. Then it kind of like puts what I'm thinking and feeling into perspective, and I'm like, it's just this,
Yeah.
just that.
That's why I resort to working out, because it's like now you're physically doing something where your mind's now focused on what you're physically doing.
You're benefiting from the
You're
boost.
benefiting from like the dopamine, from the natural effects, and now I think you
mean,
It's like coming.
a calmer effect on those intrusive thoughts. I weightlift, but it depends on like the day.
What's your favorite lift, bro?
I like deadlift.
Tight. That's a
Or
good way to
I'm
get
into
some.
bench now too, because I think like that's always the weakest, especially for women. And I'm actually enjoying bench more.
Tight. I don't do
Don't
that.
bench too much because it looks weird.
Yeah, I can only bench the like bar and maybe two 10-pound weights. I'm at 65 at most.
Watch out for arm motions.
Chill.
65 for like.
More than me.
Don't be China doll over there, all right?
That's all I got.
Lucy Lawless.
Somebody's gotta save me from 65 pounds.
I like the phrase control the controllable too, because a lot of time, like, you know, when you have like you're in a bad mood and you're like kind of like stuck on something, you can't really control how you feel,
Yeah.
but you can control what you're doing in the moment. So if you're like on the couch or wherever, or in the car, and that whole environment is making me feel like something, then go work out, go do something, or maybe go grab a snack, or even call up a friend just to talk.
Yeah.
Like, what are the things that you can control? And usually if you go in that direction and you build some sort of positive momentum, you'll feel better in like 20, 30 minutes.
100%.
And you're not stuck there anymore.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing to do. Is like my go-to is to find the humor in it, because I think it's always possible.
Yeah.
But if I can't in the moment because it's so fresh, I try to think of something that happened that's worse than this, and remember that I do see the humor in that.
Yeah.
See,
And I go, oh yeah, it eventually happens. But if I can't do it, all I do is just simply hang out with a person that I like that has nothing to do with the thing I'm upset about. And I
that's
immediately can't think of it. I'm just like, then I just enjoy this person and I enjoy the time, and it's like, it's great.
I think getting out of your head is super important.
Super important, yeah.
You're just gonna repeat whatever's bothering you, and then that boils up.
Yeah.
Or if you're in an argument, and if you're in a situation where you're both not, like, you're kind of getting crazier and crazier, like, it's gonna erupt somewhere, and someone's gotta stop it, or else it's gonna be like violence or something.
Sometimes I like finding the humor in myself in the moment.
Yes.
Like I'm like,
Zooming out of yourself.
How stupid you look.
I'm like, am I fucking tripping over this?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is so. It's like almost like, you know, when you look at yourself when you're like in your teens and you're like simping for love and you're doing all the dumbest shit possible.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. Like you kind of like look at yourself in third person. You're like, oh my god, I can't like fucking trip over this thing. It's like fucking nothing. And then you find like the humor in that too, and that helps out too.
Yeah.
I think what helped me was to realize like all of these things happen when you're the most vulnerable, right? So like when you're the most tired and you're not there mentally, because like it's easier when you're well rested, you're sharp, and then you're not emotionally aroused. So like when you're not yourself or like triggered in some different way, and then you might be attacking someone because of a, let's say like a past thing, right? Like let's say somebody bullied you and something remembers, and then subconsciously your guards go up and you're starting to feel like violent towards someone. It's like you got to remember that all these things pop up in the times when you least can deal with it. And then so when you can realize that, I think that helps a lot, because it always goes down when you're like, you already did it. Well, at least for me, you already did the deed that you kind of what do you call it, like you already acted out in the way that you regretted because you were unaware and you were impulsive.
Yeah.
So then you're impulsive because you lack self-control during those moments. So how do you stay aware in those moments of time when you're at this emotional state and you're like an absolute animal and you're not even thinking clearly?
Attempt perspective like Bart does. That's really smart.
So how do you snap out of that animal?
I think having the sense of humor side of yourself, to zoom out of yourself and laugh at how funny something is pretty good. Like I've done that many times. I think it's one of my go-tos for sure. Another thing that I do is actually a weird meditation that I've always done since I was like a little kid. I've done this before. I've actually done it like on me and Nikki's podcast. Shit they don't tell you. I've actually done it. Like I just like take you through exactly what I do.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and I love it.
That shit is so important.
I fucking love it. Like I like zoom out of my body. I visualize where I'm at. Visualize like above myself and where I'm at, and I go above that, and above that, and above that, and I go all the way out. And there's this beautiful thing. I swear to God, it's like the coolest thing ever. If you can actually like face the stars. All I mean by that, you're like fly outside of all of this shit. You get outside of like the planet and shit.
You see Earth like this small.
Earth, you're looking at, or no, you're looking at Earth, it's real big and shit, but then you turn around. The turnaround's the most powerful thing in the fucking world. If you turn around and you feel the light of the universe, the warmth, the energy, all the light of the universe is coming to one place, bitches. It's coming to us, right? And if you can feel that love, like that like warm blanket, it is like nothing else you'll ever experience. And I can get there real quick because I've been doing it since I was a kid.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I it's my little life hack. Cause like even my mom always said when I was growing up, like she's always like, you're my light and shit. And then like Nikki, whenever she's freaking the fuck out about something, like I can center pretty quick and like get to the rational part of things pretty quick because I can focus. And center
Steve is the Teletubby son.
I'm dude, I got that warm belly.
Do you ever go there when it's like, let's say you have crazy turbulence in the airplane? Do you go there too, or?
I don't need to. No, cause oh dude, I was just on an airplane with crazy turbulence. There's a guy next to me who's like fucking wide stance in this shit. Yeah.
Clogging up the seats.
Yeah. He was white knuckling the armrest, so I'm not even kidding. He was like fucking funny.
Poor guy.
Poor guy, I know. But no, I don't know. It's one of those things where I have a very kismet attitude about things. Like where if it was my time to go, I know it is.
You're just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do in a moment
What
like
are you
that?
gonna do?
right?
What are you gonna
You're
do?
out of your
Yeah.
control, so you might as well try to control what you
You're
can.
gonna go to the cockpit,
which
dude.
is your last moments in your brain.
It's cocky. It's cocky as fuck. And it's disrespectful, I think, to the powers that be to think that you are in control.
Yeah.
To the pilot.
No,
To the pilot, yeah. To the pilot.
You gotta bust that door down.
Dude, you gotta wait for that oxygen mask to come down. Yeah. No, but it's not about you anymore. It's about the plant.
That's everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
You know what else you've been doing since you were a kid?
Jerking it.
Poop. I'm gonna think of poop.
Yeah.
No,
true.
poop. Oh, poop on a pumpkin pie. Ooh.
I think
Recording me.
the first step to pivoting is recognition, because like I think most people they haven't removed or solved their ego yet. So what ends up happening is the first thing you do is blame.
Yeah.
So like that's the go-to in most people's minds. Even
And it's way more comforting to do that in the moment. For a lot of people, it's easier.
Yeah, you go to a defensive place like right away.
It's everyone else's fault, not mine.
Yeah.
And most people live this way, right?
Yeah.
So then they could never create the coping skills or just like how to deal with whatever because they don't have to deal with it. It's their fault. They made me mad. They did this to me. So then if you can't recognize that all these feelings and pains and things are happening within you and you can control that narrative, then I think that's the first step.
So when it's everybody else's fault, you just give your power away.
Yeah.
So
So
true.
it's just like now
You can't do anything
you have
about it.
no control.
Yeah,
There
I'm
goes your
helpless.
control.
Are you a baby? That's what I do. That's what I tell myself. Are you a fucking small child? Is this why you have to lash out? And like, are you not 30 years old and you have to be an adult and deal with your problems? I tell that to myself. I talk shit to myself.
Yeah, that scale is dangerous though because on the other flip side, you have people that blame the shit out of themselves excessively, and then next thing you know, they fucking kill themselves.
Oh, you know what it is though too? Is like you have to. At least for me, what works for me is like, I just tell myself that it's like so not about you in a lot of ways. Like I think a lot of us are really self-absorbed of like how we think of our problems, and it's like woe is me all the time. I think that is like a easy trap to fall in. But when you like what you guys are all saying in different ways, like pulling out and zooming out and realizing that it's like okay, what's bothering? I try to ask myself a ton of questions of like what's bothering me, why is this bothering me, is it something I can control, or is it something that I can't control? And then from there, depending on what that answer is, then I can move forward or not move forward, right? Or just kind of sit in it and just be like, okay, I'm upset.
Also, it's not going to be the last problem you're going to have.
Yeah, exactly.
So get used to it.
My favorite thing is arriving to the statement, no one fucking cares.
Exactly. It's not that serious. Like,
Fucking cares.
Except there's Steve next to you and he's like, I care.
Okay, people.
and you start crying. You're like,
I've never tried this before, but I feel like it might work good. If like, let's say you feel like shit about something, give yourself a beat and try to freestyle and rhyme that what you're feeling.
You'll definitely laugh at yourself.
Yeah, like right away. You probably started laughing.
Give me a beat.
And you try to freestyle right away. And try to rhyme that word as many times as you can.
You go to an open mic.
I'm ready.
I just write poetry, dude. And that's what I do when I'm feeling like
Shit, dude.
and I get my emotions out.
All right.
No, I don't do it.
You know, one thing that helps me when I'm like in that state of mind, whether it's like anger or fear or whatever, is to start solving the thing that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Well, women hate that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
For myself.
Such a guy.
Myself, you know?
Yeah, women hate when you solve their
Chill out
problems.
over there.
If it's a solo campaign,
Just saying.
that's good.
Okay,
No co-op. No co-op.
No cooperative.
That's a bad move.
Yeah, fuck off with that. Trust me.
But I think like there's some feeling of, it's like ASMR or relief when you're taking actionable steps towards something. When I talk about it and do nothing, it actually makes it worse for me.
Yeah.
Like
That's when anxiety
people are
comes
asking me, I repeat the same story. I'm reliving the uncertainty. I'm getting more and more worried. But then if I just shut all that out and I start solving it, and then all the conversations that I have is like people giving me advice on like how to fix or maybe look at it at a different angle, then like I see progress of things happening, then I feel relief. Yeah.
Progress.